Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home. Thanks for coming back to the channel today. We're going to be looking at the new Star Trek Original 4 movie collection on 4K from Paramount Pictures. Now this is a recent release. I didn't get to it before release day. Obviously this took a little bit of time. There's 4 movies to watch. Baby's here. Time is a valuable resource right now. So this took a little bit of time to put together, but I'm going to walk through and answer what I think are the 2 major questions that people will have about this release. So question number 1 is whether or not either the remastered Blu-ray or the remastered 4K, because this set comes with both, whether or not those are an upgrade over previously released Blu-rays. So for the purposes of this review, this is what I'm using. It's this old Star Trek original movie collection. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, while this set has just 1 through 4. But that was my comparison point. So that's question number 1. Is it better than what was previously out there? But then question number 2 is really, how do these stack up against each other? The 4K versus the Blu-ray, both being remastered, and whether or not you could maybe save a few bucks, go with the Blu-ray instead of the 4K if you're on a budget, if you're budget conscious. You know, there's some questions to be answered there about the differences between remastered Blu-ray and remastered 4K and whether there's enough to justify a purchase. So I'll start with the older Blu-rays and the comparisons, and then we'll talk about the head-to-head between these two. So first with the visuals, Star Trek the Motion Picture and Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan. Those are the 2 clear standouts. The Wrath of Khan is one of the nicer 4K discs that I've actually watched this year, and Motion Picture is close behind it. So they did a great job on both of those. The detail in the 4K scan looks awesome. Grain is really nice. It's there, it's very visible, but it's not too heavy. They really obviously used a nice restoration team that Paramount clearly has based on the work that they've been doing with Paramount Presents and other 4K titles. They have a great team over there, and they've done a great job on those first 2 movies, and they are a huge improvement over what was previously available on Blu-ray. HDR really adds a lot of highlights. I would say, though, I'll take that back. HDR adds a lot of highlights, but really just the remaster completely redid the color grading versus old Blu-rays. So whether you're looking at the 4K or the remastered Blu-ray, the coloring is totally different. But when you take that step on 4K with HDR, the biggest difference is really highlights and contrast. Blacks are very deep in black, whites are very bright, highlights really stand out. But otherwise, the color grading between it is not huge between remastered Blu-ray and remastered 4K, but a huge difference over those old Blu-rays. So 1 and 2 are real standouts, and then Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4, those were a little bit weaker, still upgrades over what we previously had in those old Blu-ray releases for sure. Definite upgrades, better color grading across the board, better grain structure, but they're just not quite as clean. I don't know if it's a source issue, budgets, maybe the restoration team focused on those first 2 movies a little bit more, spent a little more time on them. They're obviously the 2 big standouts from this set anyway. I think Wrath of Khan is everybody's favorite Star Trek movie, so it's awesome that that one looks the best if that's the one you're most looking forward to. But yeah, 3 and 4 just didn't have the same pop that the first 2 did. They're still very good. They still blow away these old Blu-ray releases that were out there. I mean, these were honestly not good in retrospect. Looking back, these were not great Blu-ray releases. Really poor in my opinion. They're early. They didn't do a great job with them. So 3 and 4 are vast improvements over that, but they just don't stand up in the way that 1 and 2 do in terms of like compared to other 4K movies that I've looked at. 1 and 2 could hold their own with some of the best that are out there, and 3 and 4 are what I would call pretty average 4K discs. So visually, it's an impressive upgrade, an impressive experience, especially compared to what we could get our hands on before. But now breaking down the visuals between these 2, 4K Blu-ray and remastered 4K scans on 1080p Blu-ray. If that's confusing, basically the same scan is on both discs, but these are in 1080p, these are in 4K with HDR. And if you look at the screenshot that I took here, this is from Wrath of Khan. I wanted to use that because I thought it was the best looking disc. If you look at the 4K compared to the remastered Blu-ray, honestly, they're identical, right? I mean, if you look at those, really, can you tell a major difference? Probably not. And Paramount does a great job with their Blu-ray releases, especially when they have 4K scans. Their entire line of Paramount Presents are Blu-ray releases on 1080p, but they're transfers that have been scanned at 4K. And those movies look incredible even on Blu-ray. And so they clearly have put the same time and effort into these remastered Blu-rays. And there's maybe some noticeable HDR differences, but you can see the color grading is not drastically different. It's not like one is really warm and one is cooler, or one has a specific tint and the other doesn't. They're identical, and then HDR just maybe adds a little bit more highlights, maybe the white on the collar, the red of the suits, like maybe there's a little bit more, but really basically identical, especially when you compare it to that third image, which is the old Blu-ray. I mean, huge difference between the old one and the new 4K and the new Blu-ray. But between the new 4K and the new Blu-ray, there really isn't much of a difference visually. Now switching over to audio, this was a little bit disappointing because I wanted something. I wanted Atmos, I wanted DTS-X, I wanted at least a new sound mix, because what we get is the same Dolby True HD 7.1 that was on all these old Blu-ray releases. And that mix is from like 2009 or 2010. It's 12 years old now, 11 years old. And it probably could have been done better with the technology that's available now. But that's all just ported over to these discs, both the 4K and the Blu-ray remastered releases. They just have that Dolby True HD 7.1. It's a decent track, but it definitely doesn't stand up to some of the others, especially for movies from this time period. And with the amount of kind of, the action and the effects that some of these movies have in moments, Atmos could have been really nice. Height effects are always great for, space adventure type movies. You got flying machines and you got stuff going on overhead. Height effects would have been really nice, but, Dolby True HD 7.1, it's okay. It's not my favorite. I prefer DTS HD. I think that's a better track. It's lossless compared to Dolby True HD. So I would have really liked to see them at least upgrade to DTS, if not Atmos or DTS-X. And unfortunately, we don't get that. So no audio upgrade at all when you're buying this release. Now packaging here, we got kind of I would call a flimsy kind of cardboard. It really like bends pretty easily. I actually just probably like dented that with my finger. And then on the inside, you've got your 4K and your remastered Blu-ray. So you don't have a choice to buy just the 4K. If you buy the 4K set, you're getting all the Blu-rays as well, which I really don't like, because I would have liked to see them keep the cost down and let you just buy the 4K. Maybe they will in the future, but right now you get both. You get both sets. So they do come with a digital copy on the 4K, not the Blu-rays. Those don't come with a digital copy in this release. So your copy is in the 4K case. And then special features, Blu-ray special features only, nothing on 4K. And they're pretty standard across the board, stuff that's been reused from prior releases. So nothing new there either. So if you're a big collector, big fan of these movies, and you were looking for something a little more special for packaging, special features, extras, you're really not going to get it. The real benefit to this package is the visual upgrades, because everything else is repurposed from old releases. So as I'm watching these and I'm thinking about these, I would say 100%, if you're still sitting on this old box set, or you have the old standalone individual releases of these movies on Blu-ray, this is a massive upgrade. Whether you go with the remastered Blu-ray discs or the 4K discs, you're getting a better experience. So I 100% recommend this new release on either format, whatever it comes down to for you for budget. But the reason I say either format is really because I didn't see much of a difference between 4K and Blu-ray. Paramount did such a good job remastering the Blu-rays, and they didn't do any real drastic HDR changes, although it does say, interestingly enough, on this box, it says all 4 movies have been remastered in HDR. Now, they don't mention how they were remastered from 4K scans or anything like that, because that's really the only difference I see, is a little bit HDR, the highlights, the contrast, a little bit better, but otherwise these are almost one-to-one. And I guess props to Paramount for doing such a good job on the Blu-ray, but the 4K just couldn't take that next step because the Blu-ray was already so good that it's really going to come down to your budget. The 4K obviously costs more. You do get the best picture quality, you get the best color, you get the best experience overall, but is it worth $20, $30 more than these remastered Blu-rays if you're on a budget? I would say maybe not, and it really sucks that you have to buy both, because they could have made the 4K set cheap enough to be competitive if they just released it by itself. So overall, it's a recommendation to grab something. Blu-ray, 4K, something from this new set you need to have in your collection, whether you're a fan of the movies or not. If you want to watch them, this is the best way to do it by far. Those old Blu-ray releases are totally obsolete now, but it really comes down to your budget. And so I'll leave a link to both down in the description, this 4K Blu-ray combo pack and just the remastered Blu-rays. You really can't go wrong with either one, so don't feel like you have to spend the extra 20, 30 bucks for 4K. And if you don't have a 4K TV, or you don't have a TV with HDR, which is still many people out there, so I don't want people to get snobby on the 4K stuff. Lots of people are still buying Blu-rays, watching on 1080p, or have older 4K TVs without HDR. And if that's the case for you, you could definitely just go with the remastered Blu-rays. They're going to be great even on a 4K TV. If you're lacking the HDR, you're not going to see a difference between Blu-ray and 4K when it comes to this new remaster. So thanks to Paramount for sending this out, and thanks to you all for being patient while I put together this review. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have subscribed by now, but if you haven't, definitely do that and turn your notifications on. You just hit that little bell. That'll let you know when new videos go live, because my schedule is a little sporadic and I'm going to be kind of posting not really on a tight schedule. It's going to be, maybe there's 3 videos in a week and then maybe there's 1 video the next week. It's just the way life is right now. So if you have notifications on, you'll know right when those videos go live. And also make sure to find me on social media. All my links are down in the description. And I know I condensed this review for all 4 movies kind of into one video, just for the purpose of saving time and being able to get this out to you all. But if you have more questions about any of the releases, find me on social media, leave a comment here on YouTube. I'll try to do my best to update you. I could even share some additional screenshots, stuff that didn't make it into this video, if you're interested in that. So happy to do that, happy to help out, but overall a great release from Paramount, and it's just going to come down to your budget on which one you want to purchase. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you soon.